What's up, guys? My name is Joe Graves, and this is So You Want to Be a Rockstar. I'm joined today by my two co-hosts, my dear brother, Sam Graves, and our one and only friend, Mike Kingswood.
On this podcast, we talk about all things music related, from touring, music production, and just a general insight into the music industry.
And if that sounds interesting to you, please like, share, or subscribe. But most importantly, enjoy the show.
Guys, we're here. We're doing it.
We're doing it.
Hello.
We've been talking about this for days.
Weeks, months.
Yep.
Last year, I think, actually.
Days is within weeks and months.
Always seemed to be when you guys got drunk.
So weird.
It was always at 9:30.
Hey, mate, we need to do a podcast. I was like, I know, yeah.
Anyway, we figured for the first episode, we'd just talk about who we are, because you're going to be like, why am I going to listen to a bunch of fat, bearded assholes talk about how to do things in music? Honestly, I swear down, if you listen, just hear us out for the next half an hour.
No, yeah.
There's some insight. We'll prove it to you, I hope. So between us all, we've done a lot in music. Everything from playing local shows when we were kids up to touring, doing stuff across the world, actually. We've all been across Europe and the States. Everything we've produced between us, there's not much we haven't done. And even if we haven't done it, friends have. And we've seen it. We've got the stories. So we're going to do it. We're going to run over everything roughly that we've done. Not tell you our life stories, just the highlights. Okay, so Sam, should we jump in first?
Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Okay, I'll start with me because you started after me. I was 8 years old. I was an 8-year-old boy, and I hated school. Still do, even though I don't have to go anymore. But a buddy of mine was like, he just kept nipping off in the middle of the day. I was like, what the fuck's this dude? How's he managing this? And I asked him one day, or he might have just told me, I don't know. But he was like, yeah, I have guitar lessons, and I get to miss half an hour of school. I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. So I was like, I want to do that. And I started looking into it, and not long after, I was there. I was doing guitar lessons, and funnily enough, I got right into it. One of my first genuine interests. So that led to one thing, started going up, doing all my, grades and all that, all that shit. I had the same guitar tutor from 8 to 16, I think. And we just started doing bits and bobs like that, went up and up. And I think I got to like my teenage years, secondary school. And he was like, do you ever listen to any metal or rock? And I was like, no, not really. What's that? What the hell's that? But then I was semi-aware of it because I had friends, older friends, people like Don White and all that. He was my buddy in school. And I just started getting into it, hanging around with that kind of crowd. And then I started learning electric guitar, and that was it. It took a whole new life, Friendships changed, that whole thing, started getting right into it. And I just became obsessed, and that was me for many years. And then that's when you kind of came along, and we started getting into like local bands.
Honestly, I was thinking about this actually last night, but not for this reason of making the podcast. I was thinking, how did I really first get into rock metal music? And the answer is exactly this. We were going on a family holiday, and we both had a Walkman, which was a present from mum and dad. You had a blue one and I had a silver one. You had a Metallica CD. I think it was Saint Anger. And I had...
Lovely snare tone.
So sorry.
I had... what did I have?
Somehow got you into metal.
Was it
This is great.
Some Limp Bizkit CD? Anyway, let's try and shorten this up a bit. We traded on the way up on this family holiday. In the car, we had hours to kill. You were asking, are we there yet? Over and over. 3 songs each. Or it might have been an Eminem CD, but anyway, 3 songs.
Eminem.
3 songs of this Metallica CD. And that was it. I was a changed man. So next minute, I'm getting a guitar. I think actually I started on drums, but the neighbours didn't like it. Kept a log of how long I played every day, complained to the local council, and they asked me to stop.
Oh, nice.
Crazy. So my next door neighbour bought me a guitar, and that's where it started for me.
I remember when I was in my first band, I was young, like, early teens sort of thing. We did like a local Battle of the Bands thing at Grand Opera House.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And we won it, and that's when I got the taste. I was like, hang on.
Name?
You what?
What was the band name?
Evelyn.
Evelyn, that was
Yeah.
Evelyn.
Or Evelyn, depends.
Evelyn.
Well,
That's where you're from.
no one really knew for sure. Not even me. But we did that, and I was like, I got a real fucking taste for it. That was the first time I played to, like, a bunch of people, and, like, smoke on stage, and I was like, well, this is what life's all about, you know. It was amazing. I got a bug for it, and then, you know, things progressed. We started doing, you know, bigger local gigs, supporting your band, funnily enough. Obviously, we'll get to you and what you've done, but that was like, you know, the kind of the gold standard, wasn't it? When you were like 16, like get a gig with Glamis, it'll be sold out, it'll be at Fibbers, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just the thing you aspired to. So you start doing that, climbing the ladder a bit, I guess, and, you know, taking more pride in what you do. We first went to Notting Hill Studios, which is, you guys have recorded there.
Yep, absolutely.
And we were like, because this leads on to how I got into music production, but it was a bit like, why do popular bands do well? You know, like what is it? You know, what is the thing? And I couldn't help but notice, hang on, all the local bands sound like shit. But then you guys had done a good recording, and I was like,
It's Jeff and Ginge.
yeah. I was like, what the fuck's the difference? How's this happened? You know, and then that's one of the things that led to us going to the same studio, and it was the first time we sounded like a proper band. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. All of a sudden, like, I really gave a fuck, and I really started taking pride in things like, you got to care about how you look and how you sound and the way you speak to people, the way you treat your social media. It was just really MySpace at the time, but it was really relevant, I thought. And that led to another thing. We started getting more attention from, like, maybe local managers or whatever, and just things grow. You wind up networking, making buddies with this guy, that guy. You get onto that gig out of York, then you end up getting on, like, offered little tours and stuff, and then out of kind of nowhere, it wasn't really nowhere, well, it was Asking Alexandria got real famous pretty quickly, and we just knew them just from York, and I think they always said to us, like, if they ever got to a position where they'd put us on a tour, and we were like, that's awesome, but you don't really think anything of it. And then after years of just, like, slogging about and having a good time, I think I was 20, and I was like, I'm about done with this, you know. I was just kind of bored. I'd started getting into recording a bit as well, and we'd got offered to open for Asking on a UK Academy 1 tour, and we were like, what the fuck? And everything changed overnight.
Well, yeah, that was huge for us, wasn't it? I mean, you know, you get the tour, you go and do the tour. That was when managers started to care. All of a sudden, people that I contacted, what I feel like was maybe 200 times, all of a sudden they're contacting us.
Yeah.
And then, boom, it spirals from there, and that was our way in, so...
That's it, yeah. We finished that tour. No, we started that tour with nothing other than, like, fuck me, look what we're off to do. You know, it was so exciting, like full-on Christmas vibes, you know, when you're a kid. And we finished that tour with the Artery Foundation as managers, on TKO booking, as a booking agent, and just a shitload of hype. And not just that, we had contacts straight away. So we finished that tour, and it was Tom Taff, I believe. Was it Tom Taff? Who was booking their shows. And we were able to just hit him up straight away and be like, we've seen of Mice and Men are coming to the UK. Who's opening? You know, he was like, oh, there's actually a couple of slots available. Like, fucking hell, what have we got to do? What's the answer? So anyway, we figured that out with him, and that was us. We were on the next tour. Then because we'd just done 2 pretty high profile tours, and this was in 2012, so this is when, like, these bands were huge. You know, Mice and Men obviously would just you know, become a big thing.
Massive back then.
Yeah,
That was their first UK headline tour.
Hype
Yeah.
city.
That was with, like, Bury Tomorrow and Crossfaith as well.
Jesus.
And it was awesome. And that was like, look at us, little old local band doing this all of a sudden kind of thing. But it really was. It caught so much fucking fire over that one year. And then Yashin hit us up because they announced a tour, and they got us to. We didn't open. We were second on, I think. So we were climbing the ladder, you know. But it's when we started to get genuine fans. Like, people were, like, you know, buying our merch, and you know, fucking. I'm sure the odd person got a tattoo or something, you know what I mean? Things like that. And there was just bits and bobs like that. And it was like, right, we're really a serious fucking band now. And just kind of took over like that. And then where it kind of changed was because we were young men at the time, and I'd started getting into recording bands just because I was fascinated with the process when I was with Jeff and Ginge. I'd started dicking about in the studios. There was a local studio, so I was going there, and it became a bit of a thing where it was like, I need to start making money. I think I had, like, a bar job and stuff. Like, our parents always made us work when it was summer holidays. It was like, you know, right, Dad had a construction company. You come in with us.
Get a job, or you're working for me.
That's right, yeah. But that's the thing. Like, the band was kind of like at its height, and then we'd seen with our own eyes how it's like, if you don't keep on top of it, people forget about you overnight. So it was like, shit, that's an interesting learning curve. But I also had this mindset of, like, I don't really care because I'd kind of got bored of being in a band. I distinctly remember one time being on stage, Islington Academy. It was sold out. It was with who were we supporting?
Can't remember.
Issues. It was Issues.
Yeah,
and Crown the Empire and that. And I remember being bored and checking my phone mid-set.
That's a good
Which
sign.
is, each their own. I remember how great it was being in a band, but I had just lost interest, and I was getting interest.
I hope the few of our fans that we had back then don't hear you say that.
I'm so sorry if that's the case, I'm so sorry. But it was a combination of I was becoming a young man, and it was like financial responsibilities starting to pop in, that kind of thing. And I was getting really interested in recording. And because I was at this local studio doing that sort of thing, I started to get really into like, oh, this is great. Oh, I'm making a bit of money. Then our parents helped us set up the first Inner Sound, one.
OG.
Yeah, which is just like a shitty old shed, and we
Yeah,
built
it
some
was
like,
literally a shipping container.
Yeah. We set up some like plasterboard in there, just to get the walls up, And that just kind of led from one thing to another. But because we were in a band that was quite popular at the time, we had instant access to a lot of people that were like, "Oh, you record, do you?" And not many people recorded back then. Everyone's records now.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But that kind of led to another thing. So we had a lot of practice off the bat, and we made a full-time job of it instantly. And we were making, obviously not great money, not adult money, but it was fucking great for us at the time, you know what I mean? And that just kind of progressed, and because of our network touring, we got to jump into, working with Askin again, we started doing loads of work for them, and that led to, I think I found out my daughter was going to be born, actually, and I was meant to go across the pond. But I couldn't because, obviously, I wanted to be there when she was born. So you went over to the States, and what is it you did? It was like 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, a good couple of years back and forth. Mostly out there, but what an experience! I mean, it was on behalf of the studio. It was to represent me and Joe, and it's what we wanted to pursue always after the band days. And it was quite a long crossover actually from playing in a band and owning a studio. There was trying to balance it, and there was times where we were getting a tour offer and then because you're saying of like, financial obligations and whatnot, you have to make the decision, can I actually afford to go on tour and make...
I think that's about when I dropped off, isn't it?
Make next to nothing at times, or I have this album booked in, I really need to do it. And I want to do it.
Yeah.
So that big crossover, but obviously the way it panned out, the decisions that we made, I feel like they were always the right one.
Yeah.
And then that's what took Inner Sound to where it is now.
Well, that's it. After that, it was like we had good access to doing a bunch of like label work and whatnot, and we really took the studio to like a new level. And it wasn't just a studio anymore; it was us as producers became a bit of a thing.
Yeah.
And we were getting good work with a bunch of labels out in the States, and that was a lot of fun. And that helped us get a lot more local work, which is, no matter how big you are as a producer, it's a lot of your bread and butter. So
I know, yeah.
That's kind of how it was, and we did that for a bit, and then we've since expanded into all sorts. We've got the new studio now, 2,000 square foot facility, primarily built for music, but we don't do as much music anymore because we got into things like podcasts and audiobooks, just because you get older, you get interested in more things. It's just how you do it. And that, in a nutshell, is our story. So, Michael, what happened with you, buddy?
What happened with me? Well, I came all the way here from Canada. And,
Not like them guys off South Park.
yeah, flapping little heads, yeah.
Terrence and Philip.
So my name's Mike Kingswood, if you don't know.
I knew.
Yeah, you do, yeah. For quite a while now. I was in a band called Glamour of the Kill. And then I went into another band called Axe Wound that people really liked. And then from there, I just kind of went on to do a lot more session work. I always kind of feel like a bit of an imposter when I say I'm a session guitarist, because most session guitarists like know scales and stuff, but I don't.
No, dude, we're in rock and metal here. You don't need to know scales.
I don't need to know that shit, dude.
You just need to be inspired.
I get through
and have long
inspiration,
hair.
Yeah. I actually used to work with you guys in the studio. Do you know what? It's one of the only times I got fired was from you guys as well.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, I know, yeah. That was a devastating time. No, it's from COVID.
COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
We opened.
Literally, this studio just opened. I think it was the week of the 23rd of March, 2020.
Yeah.
And we had Scarlet Riot in, and I was doing that album. And then we were like, oh, what's going on with the world? And then everything ended. And you were like, we're so sorry, dude.
We lost about 10 months worth of work overnight.
Yeah, we had so much.
Yeah.
We had I remember saying to you, just maybe a few weeks before, we've got enough work for the whole year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was taken away from us.
It was April till June. Well, I came back and finished the album in June.
Yeah.
That was the gap. And you were like, I'm so sorry. I know, literally, it was the same week I got a contract. I'm so sorry, we have to sack you. And I was like, nice one, best friends. Sick.
Didn't mean it, man.
Yeah. I do more session work now, a lot more gardening. But yeah, my general story is I'm a musician. I was in Glamour of the Kill. I was an axe wound, and then went on to a session for some pretty sizable bands.
Yeah.
I feel like you missed a few details there. How do you just be in a local band and end up in a band with...
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know how they had that long. Right, Glamour of the Kill. That was a quick rise, that one. We were a school band. A lot of people don't know that. We were a school band called the Red Room Theory. And then we got a new drummer, which was Ben Thompson. And then we changed our name to Glamour of the Kill. And then instantly, we did an EP called Through the Dark They March, which is OG.
I remember it, man.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And there was a guy called James Gill from Metal Hammer. And he had a sack of EPs, and he managed to pull ours out, and it was that one. And it got 10 out of 10 in Metal Hammer. And it was like kind of unheard of for like an unsigned band. And from then, it just went nuts. Like, we were EP, main stage download.
Yeah.
Genuinely, that's what happened. Avenged Sevenfold.
No, I remember it.
Like, straight away, and then we had nothing to follow up. We were like, we don't have any more songs. So then we had to write an album, and that was The Summoning, and that was mental. It was a very, very quick rise for us, which we were underprepared for. I was like 18.
I remember it all. I remember watching it, and that was one of, like I said, our inspirations when it was like, we need to be getting on shows with Glamour. Because it really was that. You were local band, obviously some people had heard of you, and then it was like, motherfuckers, download main stage.
I know, yeah.
Out of nowhere.
I remember getting that call, and I was like, okay, all right, let's go.
I'll do it. I mean, well, yeah.
I'll give it a whack, yeah. Yeah.
But there was
rise.
other things too. Like you got like tour with Avenged
I
Sevenfold.
know, yeah. We were at White Rooms when we got that call. And
But how's that come about?
I don't know. We had a manager called Abby Marshall, and I'm not sure what she did, but she got us the tour. But yeah, that was I think it was the last tour that the Rev did in the UK, other than Sonisphere. Yeah, it was the album cycle of the self-titled one with like Afterlife and stuff like that. It was that.
Right.
It wasn't massive venues, but it was obviously amazing experience. Yeah, it was a few small shows, 400 to 800 kind of cap rooms, which for us at the time was like, oh man, Jesus Christ! But yeah, that was a one of, actually, if I'm honest, one of the standout experiences from the whole Glamour of the Kill saga. That was a great one.
It's funny when you look back because you've obviously just in Glamour, never mind Axe Wound and your session work for bands like Bullet and whatnot. There's if you think about that, touring, going from nothing to, oh my God, I'm playing with Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
That's a silly jump, isn't it? And it's not just that. It's not the whole cool, played to 20,000 people, bunch of times. That's not as memorable as going from local band to playing a tour with a household name.
Yeah, bearing in mind, they were like my favourite band on earth. Like, I remember we were in Liverpool Academy 2, I think it was. This is what I mean, it was smaller rooms. And the Rev came into the toilet when I was in there. No, the Rev walked into the venue and I ran into the toilet to go tell Chris, but the Rev was in there as well. I'd missed it. And he was like, mate, he's in here. I was like, oh, God.
Was that actually mid-shit? Right, so what happened next then? How did it get onto things like Axe Wound? So I don't really remember when Axe Wound came about, but I remember it was the year we were playing Download, and I think you guys were playing too. And we just saw you backstage. I don't know if we were like hanging about as much at the time. We obviously knew each other. Oh, look, there's Mike's, go say hello. And you guys were playing.
So let's circle back to Jeff and Ginge. You guys kind of followed the same route we did, which was following the same route that Bullet did.
Right.
So we heard that Jeff and Ginge had something to do with Bullet back in the day. I think it was like the EP before the Poison or something like that. But I know that Ginge does a lot more engineering for Bullet now. But we were like, well, Bullet recorded there, so we've got to go record there. Proper Bullet fanboys. You know what I mean? We even went and got like rip-off Jacksons that looked like V's, like what they used. Didn't go as far as to have the white socks pulled up, but went and recorded with Jeff and Ginge, and that's how we got that relationship with Ginge. And then years later, we'd recorded with Ginge a few times, and Matt and Jason, who is now, Jason Bolt, now in Bullet, were just jamming in Cardiff at the studio, and they were writing a couple of tunes, and it was like, actually, these are pretty good. I think the first one they actually wrote was Cold, but it was just Matt and Jason. That was it. They were just messing about. And then Matt was like, should we start a band? And asked Ginge if he would recommend anyone, and he recommended me, just from recording their previous times with Ginge.
How long had it been since you'd work with Ginge? Was it like long after or what?
We did. It was the same time that we were recording with Sturgis, so it would have been a couple of years since we recorded with Ginge, yeah. Yeah, about 3 years since we recorded, and he mentioned me, and I was like, all right, nice one. I actually got home from tour with my suitcase, and I got a call from an unknown number. And if you don't know me, I don't really pick up to people that I don't know. And
all people you do know, Mike.
Yeah, I know, yeah. If you can get a hold of me, well done.
Getting him here was...
I got a call, unknown number, and I was like, absolutely not, thank you very much. And then I got a call from Chris Gummerson, and he was like, pick your phone up now. Next person that calls, pick it up. And I was like, all right, mate. And answered it. I was like, all right. And he's like, all right, Mikey. I was like, hello. He's like, it's Ginge. I was like, all right, Ginge, mate, what's going on? He's like, do you want to be, this is not even like any hesitation. He went, do you want to be in a band with Matt? And I was like, Matt, who? And he's like, Tucky, Bullet. And I was like, tell me more. And that's literally what happened. And I was like, what's going on? He's like, we're doing an album down in Cardiff. Chugging on a couple of songs. We want to put a bit of a band together. And I was like, all right, yeah. And I was like, when? He was like, now. I was like, okay. Literally got on a train the next day.
Right now?
Yeah, I was like, right.
Can I finish my wank?
Can I wipe my ass, please, mate? And then, it was just me, Matt and Jace. We went and did the rest of the album. And then the band started from there. And I remember Matt messaged me. He was like, "Oh, we've got a vocalist now." And I was like, "All right, who is it?" And he was like, "It's Liam from Cancer Bats." And I was like, "That is cool as fuck, dude. That is mint." And then that started that relationship with Cancer Bats, and it was a wild time. That was like the step from local band to Glamour, going to main stage to Axford was unreal. First tour was with Killswitch in Europe. I was like, "Yeah, no worries, bro." Hello, Adam D. Had to be cool. Like, yeah, man, this is normal for me. Everyone else was from like established bands, like Joe Copcutt was Rise to Remain, Bruce Dickinson. Do you know what I mean? He's obviously been around it. Liam, Matt, Jason, is pitch shifter. He's a drumming legend. And then there's Kingy from York.
That's fucking hilarious. It's funny though. We were talking about this the other day. It's like it's funny how you find yourself in these situations. Like, when you were like 13, 14, queuing up, you got to a gig real early to be the first in at a Trivium gig.
Yeah.
And then years down the line, you're doing like Mayhem Tour or Vans Warped or whatever. In the States, obviously working with Askin. And Evie's knocking your door like, do you mind if I come take a shit? It's like, sure, man.
No, I don't think he quite said that, but I think, I remember that. I was obviously working for Askin at the time. And I think there were tons of bands on the tour. It was like a very mini download every day. I think some of the venues were maybe doing like 15,000 a day. What was it called? So it was called Mayhem Tour, and Avenged Sevenfold. Avenged Sevenfold headlined it.
Nice.
And there's a classic photo of you.
There is a classic.
There is a photo that's done the rounds over the years.
Behind them shadows,
waiting next in line for my haircut.
Just like
not looking my finest. But yeah, that was a funny one because yes, I was first in line for a Trivium gig in Bradford when I was about 14, 15, and I helped them load merch in. And that was one of the top experiences of my life at that point.
No amount of money could get you to load merch in for idols.
Absolutely not.
No.
At least 200 quid a day.
And then, there were only so many dressing rooms on this tour that I was working for Askin on. And I remember just sitting there like doing something on my laptop, probably working on a song. And then he's like, Matt Heafy, he's like, do you mind if I just use the toilet? And I'm thinking, yes, God, you can do whatever you want. God.
I'll wipe.
All these heroes you get growing up, and Matt Heafy was one for me. Wow. I've just bought tickets to the Bullet and Trivium tour next year. I cannot wait.
No, we were talking about it before. I won't make this a big story because I don't want to drag it on, but it would probably be all too easy to get passes for that now, just with who we know, but I don't want to be that guy anymore.
Do you know what?
Do you know what I mean? Even I don't want to ask.
I like standing at the sound desk. I shouldn't be giving this top advice away, but if you stand at the sound desk, that's where it sounds best because that's where somebody gets paid £500 a night to make the band sound good.
You want to get side stage, that's where it sounds best, dude.
That's where you get the best Instagram fodder.
Shut up, get off. It doesn't sound good. You hear cymbals, everyone's on in-ears, nothing's playing, it's just cymbals, it sounds shit.
Yeah.
Go stand near the sound desk.
That's it. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't want this to drag on too long, so we'll finish on what I think is the big last thing. There's obviously our stories go into way more detail, and we'll go into all the rabbit holes in later episodes, but session musician, you played for Bullet a few times, actually.
I have, yes.
How the fuck's that happened? Well, I can piece it together from what you said.
I mean, it's the ladder climbing.
Yeah.
So, Glamour, Axewound, that's obviously opens the door for Bullet. I'll tell you what, every time Matt calls me, it's something like, can you give me some more notice, please, mate? Jesus Christ. All right, mate. I'm like, no. What is it? Glamour were on tour with Papa Roach in Europe. And we were doing so, when a band does festival season, they'll kind of make it kind of like logistically smart to do shows in between the festivals. So Papa Roach were doing festivals, generally speaking, like Friday to Sunday, Monday even, whatever, and then doing headlines in between. And we were doing those headline shows. So when they went off to do festivals, we had time off. And Matt called me on a Wednesday, and that's important to the story because of the time frame he gave me. Called me and he was like, right, bro, where are you? And I was like, I'm in Italy. And I was like, I'm on tour. And he was like, we need you. And I was like, what? And he was like, we need you to come and play. And I was like, when? And he was like, Friday. And I was like, where? And he was like, North France. I was like, right, okay.
What time was it on Wednesday? What time was the show on Friday?
It was Bullet, so it's late.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in Italy.
Bullet, so they're not opening.
They're not opening. I was in Italy on Wednesday. This was before you could even get like a phone contract in Europe. This was like OG touring. This was 2011 or something like that, 13 maybe, something like that. I had to borrow Dave's iPod, Dave Richmond from Glamour, his iPod, because he had all the Bullet songs on it. He told me the set. I didn't even play a guitar. I listened to the set on the train and I was like, I think I remember it from what I learned when I was a kid. And I was like, right, okay, I think I've got it down. And then got to the festival. There's 2 amps backstage. Me and Matt went through a few songs. They changed the set on the day as well. That was good. I was like, this isn't the end. He was like, oh yeah, we'll change it. I was like, stop stressing me out, dude. And then it was like, right, we're going to do either The Poison or Suffocating Under Words of Sorrow. Choice is yours. And I was like, Suffocating, because I literally remember that from when I was 15. Yeah. And yeah, stepped out to Hellfest.
I thought Hellfest was the first one.
I was like that. Fucking brutal.
Like a washing machine.
And then it was like, what are we doing next? We're just doing a couple of arena shows with Korn. Cool. Got back to tour. They were like, how was it? I was like, it was amazing, obviously, but terrifying.
And that's not the only time you played from recently. It was a few years ago.
Yeah. Festival season 22, was it?
Yeah.
You played that, where was it? That Bring Me one on that.
Yeah, I went to that
Malta.
Malta.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but it was
you were showing me, I think maybe just post them online, photos of your hotel room. Bigger than my house.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie, it was silly.
It's funny, isn't it, when you go from, if you're lucky, getting crisps. And
this is another thing I wanted to cover. It's not like I'm used to this level of touring. This isn't my touring career, playing with Bullet. I've been pissing in bottles and sprinters for a long time, all right? Yeah. This is just very rare that this happens. But, I did a festival season with Bullet. It was mental. It was like, that thing with Malta. That was like Bring Me, Malevolence, Motionless, I think was there, Beartooth was there. It was a great lineup. And Bring Me did like a DJ set thing the night before. Everyone was hanging out. Again, I'm just there with a pint, like, all my selections is there. I'm like, this is normal. This is cool, man.
This is regular.
This is my regular life right now.
Hey, well, I've been in a lift with Ollie Sykes too. It was at the AP Awards in America in 2015. No comment.
No comment.
So, I remember that was a crazy kind of 15 minutes. Because
15-minute lift.
Jesus Christ. No.
What was that building? It was to China. How tall was that building?
Oh man, no, that was the lift was about 24 seconds of it, I would say. But because I got to the hotel because all the bands and the crew. There was lots and lots of bands there, like Pierce the Veil. There was, you listen them off for 10 minutes, but. I got sorted in my hotel room, and then I went down to the lobby. And when I went down to the lobby, Ollie was in the lift. And then I got down there, and then there was Blink-182 that just stood in the lobby.
That's a pretty decent. If we're gonna
and I was
the guys. There is plenty more name dropping to come. So
I know, but. Yeah, that was like a day in the life at that time. It was like, who am I going to meet today?
Well, we had an occasion, didn't we? I was recording an EP of yours, and we had Jacoby Shaddix from Papa Roach in the studio. Do you remember? And Of course you remember.
your
That doesn't
daughter.
happen every day.
Your daughter doesn't know that she's met Jacoby Shaddix.
That's right. She'll know one day.
Yeah.
I've told her a few times. She shouldn't give a fuck. She's so young.
You don't know.
But no, but that was happening, and I was there, like, you know. So I text you like, Jesus, I've got Jacoby Shaddix in the show, and you were like, I'm recording Jonathan Davis from Corn. He's on the studio bus. I was like, this is a rare 10 minutes. You know, this isn't going to happen very often.
Everything's going okay.
Yeah, we were sorting out. We were sorting out a live track that Askin were doing with him at the AP Awards. That's what we're sorting out. So,
Well, truth be told, I think we'll call it there. I mean, there is so many.
No, there's so much.
So many rabbit holes
much.
we're going to jump down in like later episodes, but that is an extremely broad overview of our lives, what's taken us to this point. So thank you very much for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next one.
cheers.
Cheers.